Hey everybody, welcome in Guerrilla Sports Off Ice, and we are literally just off the ice. The ice is right behind the camera right there. I'm Jesse Montano, she's Meghan Angley. We got Mark with us here down at Family Sports. Avs just wrapped up day 2 of training camp, and Meghan, we had a very special guest on the pod today. Colton will be joining us here in just a little bit. But you guys know the drill. I want to start by reminding you about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? Well, with RefiJet, you could save around $150 every single month, all with just a soft credit pull and zero hassle, Meghan. Lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back in your pocket from your car's equity. I could always use a little bit of extra cash back in my pocket. RefiJet does the work. You get the savings. Start today at RefiJet.com. It's the faster, easier way to refinance. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome in. I'm Jesse Montano with Meghan Angley. Got Mark with us here, making it all happen. We got Colton joining us on the show in just a little bit. But Meghan, we are through 2 days of camp. We've been back at the rink now for about a week. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. It is great to be back. I think camp, it feels different from other camps in different ways. We can definitely get into it, but though there are less, question marks looming over this team, there's still storylines and positions to fill, holes to fill, and there's just a lot of excitement because of how last year ended and how close to that group this already is. They haven't changed very much, over the off season, and they've been on the ice for several weeks, especially the core players, right? And it just shows, these have felt kind of just like practice days that are continuing on from what they've been doing in the captain's skates, and so guys hit the ice running, so to speak.
Guys have hit the ice skating? Yeah, perfect. Jared Bednar had a call out for Gabe Landeskog today. We do have a slight update on that. Should we just get that out of the way now?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get that out of the way now. Gabe Landeskog will not be on the ice for practice tomorrow, for training camp tomorrow, but Meghan, the expectation is for him to be in game 1 of the preseason, that first game of the doubleheader at DU. Jared Bednar said, this isn't being cautious, this is just being smart. These are intense practices. They're longer than normal practices. They push the guys really hard. Gabe Landeskog hasn't been through one of these in 3 years. So I agree. I don't think this is being cautious. It's just being smart and not putting yourself in a potentially sticky situation.
Yeah, I think he was just getting ahead of our reactions to make sure we didn't stir up panic. But I'm excited for those games because I imagined the DU game would be maybe more the AHL heavy roster. One, it sounds like it'll be decently split, and Jared Bednar will be behind the bench in Magnus Arena, and that you couldn't dream up a more perfect scenario for me.
Meghan just started sweating as soon as Jared said that he was coaching that one.
I'm so excited. Well, and so DU Hockey's been promoting Sean Barron's homecoming game, so I'm assuming he's playing in the DU game as well. So you've got Landeskog, Barons, and Jared Bednar behind the bench. I'm so excited. She actually didn't start sweating. She
passed out, so we had to stop the Jared presser to splash some water on her face.
This is hockey prime time right now.
Yeah, no kidding. But so when folks see tomorrow, when you start seeing tweets, whether it be from us or from other people, Gabe Landeskog's not on the ice. This is planned. This is all part of the process here. We did see Mackenzie Blackwood out on the ice again today. We didn't officially provide this update yesterday. I believe you did tweet it, though, that about 7 to 10 days from yesterday will be their first official reevaluation of where Blackwood is at, but that we can expect to continue seeing him just getting in those kind of lighter reps that we've seen him doing the last couple of days with UC Parkala. Do you have any thoughts there? I mean, pretty standard cut and paste from what we heard from you today.
It's unfortunate that he's injured, but everything that I'm seeing on the ice, working with UC Parkala, I do think that target of around opening night is realistic, and I'm not overly worried about it.
Yeah, and again, as Jared Bednar talked about, and as you and I talked about last season, all summer, this is why you have and you pay a guy like Scott Wedgwood. So if you need a couple games here and there, you can. Yeah,
and he's been working his butt off in camp so far. So I think, we talked about it before, but not getting in-game action in the playoffs, this is just really important for him.
Yeah, no, it was a great call out when you said that he hasn't played in a game that counts in a while. So that it's good for him to get ramped up here. He is in the 2-goalie group, so he's getting a lot of work. Meghan, let's just start with standouts from the first couple days. And I want to key in on, as we get a little bit closer to the Ross conversation, that third line and implications, and because Ross did give us some insight on that. But standouts for you through day 2, good or bad? Good or bad standouts?
I mean, it's been mostly positive. I'm keying in on those specific holes in the lineup that I know need to be filled, so I'm paying more attention to it, right? Like McKinnon's looked great, Nichushkin's looked great, but I'm looking at kind of the depth options and some of what's happening on the back end. And for one, I do like that teaser line with Drury, Colton, and Olofsson, and I like them even more in day 2. Liked him day 1, loved him day 2. Excited to see where that goes. But I'm keying in on the fourth line center position pretty heavily too. And I shouted out Ivan on Twitter, and I maintain that opinion that he's kind of my front runner, but Bardakov has also impressed. He's very powerful, especially coming up ice, and has good speed. Seems to be adjusting to the pace well and absorbing feedback. And so day 1 into day 2, just really big steps forward.
Well, can I add something there on Bardakov that Jared said yesterday? And I thought he said, I didn't know anything about this guy. Like, and it sounded to me like he almost kind of like intentionally didn't go watch a ton of tape, didn't go watch, talk to a bunch of people, just wanted to see the raw tools, and he was started immediately calling out. Big guy, strong, fast, can play with the puck, protects the puck well. I just wanted to add in that little detail there that I just found interesting, where he specifically, Jared said specifically, I didn't watch anything on him. So he kind of came into this raw and made a shout out. He popped off the ice in day 1.
He did, and I think what's interesting about the guys that I'm considering for this role is they each kind of represent something a little bit different that a complete 4C should have all of. And so to me, it's a matter of who puts the pieces together the best. And with Bardakov, the only thing that I would say is lagging right now is the experience, I guess, like getting adjusted to this system, this pace of play is going to take a little bit of time.
Style.
Exactly. Yep. That's going to take a little bit of time. And I think I've addressed this before, but the way that he played over in the KHL, like, yes, it was in kind of a top 9 role, I'll say, playing at the 2C spot. He didn't just have that top 6 toolkit, though. He had really responsible habits, and so if that translates to this level very well, then I don't foresee him having the problem that other players have had coming over, because looking at him just in camp, engagement's not an issue with this player. So really it'll just be how close is he to getting ready? Does he just need some more time, some more reps in? Because that's where a player like Ivan has a leg up on both Prishepov and Bardakov. He's played, full season in the American Leagues, gotten in a handful of NHL games, and I think his toolkit is more complete at the moment. But Jared Bednar said this when Ivan went back to the American League. He just wasn't producing, and he needed to play with a little more physicality. And so what's interesting is Prishepov, among these 3, I think has that little bit of a bite, little bit of an edge, just what I've seen in the rookie tournament, what I'm seeing here. But it's a consistency issue. So I'm like, well, Ivan's consistent on the forecheck, right? He just maybe needs to be a little bit more aggressive, whereas Prishepov, when he does leverage his size, probably poses the biggest physical threat. And then there's Bardakov, who's still a little bit of a question mark to me, but I'm not ruling him out of the equation. So honestly, they're kind of in a 3-way tie at the moment.
Well, and I don't think this has any, what I'm about to say here has any bearing on, one of them making over the other, but something that I saw Prishepov and Nathan McKinnon talking quite a bit after they do the sprints at the end. Prishepov is kind of, down on the ice, catches his breath, and Nathan McKinnon comes up to him, pat on the butt, and, said something to him, and I just found that interesting that there's something that Nathan McKinnon sees in Nikita Prishepov that he likes, that is kind of drawing Nate to him, and it's not an insignificant thing on this team.
No. So the criticism of Prishepov coming out of the rookie tournament was I don't think he was as much of a play driver as I expected him to be. But I've seen him in other AHL games where he has been that. And so I'm not overly worried about the lack of offensive plays that he was making in the tournament. He just obviously needs to fine-tune that going into these preseason games here. But where I was going with the McKinnon thing is he works hard. He's been on the ice for weeks. He's been at Landeskog's side at some of these captain skates, clearly getting feedback from him, leaning on his expertise. And so I really respect that about Prishepov. It's a great group of guys, honestly, to choose from, because they all seem to have really great qualities, really similar qualities, and it's just a matter of which one separates from this pack.
Well, and just to put a bow on your point about him spending time with Gabe and getting clear feedback, I mean, how often have we talked about that? Like, not only do the Avs want these guys to fit on the ice, you want them to fit in the locker room and into the culture and have that work ethic, and they talk about it all the time, it's contagious, and guys want to get after it after games. That's what Nathan MacKinnon does. And if you're a young player that is looking to endear yourself to this leadership group, that's a great way to start.
Definitely.
Let's talk about so I'm going to skip over the third line for right now, then we'll loop back to it. But let's talk about that top six. It wasn't really something that we talked about as like a lot of question marks coming in. But through the first 2 days of camp, we got a different look at the lines than maybe what we thought they would be coming in. You have Val Nichushkin with Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Netchis. You've got Gabe Landeskog, Brock Nelson, and Arturi Lehkonen. So, like I said, a little bit of a different look than maybe what we thought. It's training camp, it's practice. You can never really put too much stock into it. But looking at what that 13, 29, 88 line has done these first couple days in camp, I can see why they put them together. There's some definitely reason for encouragement there.
Absolutely. And what I'm seeing out of Netchis in particular, I think the first day, there was some connectivity issues with his line mates, but into day two, it kind of snapped into place, in my opinion. And it's all very encouraging, too, when I think about the options that exist, because you don't have to be anchored to any of these combinations, but they all look pretty good. And just the quickness, too, that he got adjusted to playing with these guys, it points to versatility that I think will serve him really well, because I don't imagine he'll be playing with Nathan MacKinnon all year. I think they'll want to have another zone entry option on a different line, and I love that Jared Bednar's kind of framed this as a top 9 conversation, where we even joked, it's like 2-second lines, but I do think distributing the talent among the top 9 is... On some teams, it's because they have to. Right. And on this team, I think it's because they have so many good options that they just want to maximize the best of every player's strengths.
Well, so let's get into previewing our conversation with Ross. He was very generous, sat with us for, Mark, what was that, about 15, 20 minutes with Ross? Yeah, about 15, 20 minutes.
It felt way quicker than
flies.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I just got to give a shout out to Ross. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to in the room, and just fully doubled down on it here. Great interview, great talking with him. But he even alluded to what you were talking about a little bit of, like, he's like, I don't want to really say third line, fourth line. Like, we just want lines that can contribute. We don't want any lines that are like, oh, they're just going out there to survive. I love that perspective. And two, you definitely see, and again, it's camp, so everything with a big old pinch of salt there. But, like, you see the potential for that in a Drury, Colton, Olofsson line.
I'm so excited.
Like Olofsson really, the skill I thought really popped today in the second part of the second session. I felt like every time his line, they were doing some kind of like 3-on-3, 4-on-3 stuff, and I felt like every time the puck ended up on his stick, Megan, something was happening. Wasn't it maybe necessarily always going in? He was creating, getting pucks to the net. First chances, second chances, and it seemed like Ross Colton kind of was feeding on that a bit, making some plays himself, and throwing pucks back to the middle. I like the mindset of those guys on that line for the Avalanche, saying we don't want to be a really good third line. We want to be an effective line. Right. Doesn't matter who you're out there against.
I love the call out too that sometimes when you get into the bottom 6 conversation, the purpose of that line is to pave the way for a more exhausted team opposite you for the guys coming onto the ice after your shift. Yeah. But I loved Colton's call out of I want us to have an offensive impact too, and be more than just that. And just looking at Drury, Colton, Olofsson, they absolutely have that potential. I think, one, they're balancing who's going to facilitate pretty well. Like, Jack Drury is a distributor. I'm pretty sold on it through camp. Okay, that's so silly to say. I obviously need to see it more in game action and more consistently over time, but just...
Megan's like 4 hours into the season, I'm good.
Jack Drury 3C, sold, done, it's fine. No, but what I like too is, Ross and Olofsson took turns being the shooter, and I'm not certain of this because they all kind of look the same at distance.
Okay,
Hold on, pause.
Pause. Victor Olofsson, Jack Drury looks similar to Ross Colton. Ross Colton looks similar to Jack Drury, and Victor Olofsson looks like a fucking combination of the two of them.
Like physically, just to be clear, right? Like not necessarily stylistically,
right?
But physically, they're very similar looking at distance, first glance.
And especially in these practice jerseys, like I was really struggling to just like glance and be like, oh, okay, that's Ross with the puck.
Yes.
Oh, okay, they look very similar.
Right. I think Drury I can pluck out a little bit more than the other two, but Colton and Olofsson really blend. Yeah. And where I was going with this is I think each one individually scored a goal this afternoon. Could have been two of the same guy. Hard to say, really. But There were moments where Olofsson and Colton were both the shooter, on different plays.
Yeah.
And then obviously the passing plays that they were able to each create. One, with a new addition in Olofsson to be able to receive those passes and anticipate each other so well. It points to immediate chemistry, and that's hard to find. It's, something you can take for granted sometimes, and that's just good hockey players.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And we talked about it with Ross, but just a really high skill play from that line at one point. Olofsson went to sauce a puck backdoor to Ross, but it had way too much air under it. Ross knocked it down out of the air, and I actually think the goalie had to make a save on him just knocking it down. Ross collects it. Jack Drury's calling for it, kind of coming late into the neutral zone, or into the slot, and hits him, goal, and that's it. And that's the type of stuff you want to see a line like that doing, because you have a guy like Ross Colton who plays with an edge. You have a guy like Jack Drury who can be a pest on the forecheck. Still remains to be seen on stuff away from the puck with Victor Olofsson, but you know what a threat he can be, and I really liked what I've seen out of that combination so far through 2 days.
And just, the conversation around Olofsson is, can he repeat the defensive success that he had in Vegas last year? I think people are skeptical just because his track record previously didn't necessarily point to being a strong two-way player. And I have some nerves just 2 days into camp too, just in terms of protecting the puck, being strong on pucks. But in playing alongside two guys like that, especially Drury, very responsible, smart defensive stick, and Colton, who does play with that kind of physical edge, especially something he wants to lean into more this year.
Yeah.
You've got two great examples of what you should be doing. And so I think just in absorbing that, he can continue to build off of the strong defensive play that he had in Vegas last year.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, let's just let you hear it straight from Ross. Like I said, it was a great interview. So us sitting down with number 20 for the Colorado Avalanche, Ross Colton. All right, well, we're very lucky to be joined today by forward for the Colorado Avalanche, Ross Colton. Ross, thank you very much. These are long days for you guys. We appreciate you parking the time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
It's good to get camp back going, and I'm just going to start with kind of the low-hanging fruit stuff here from what we've been hearing from guys over the last few days. There's a lot of sense of belief in that room. Just what's the vibe in that locker room, maybe even compared to where it was last year at the start? You had so many changes ahead of you last year.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I think I'm sure a lot of guys have said it, but having the captain back has been amazing. And he was around a little bit last year, but only for like spurts of it at a time. And then obviously I got hurt kind of towards the end of the season. So when he came back, I went out. So then I really wasn't around him. So this is kind of my first taste of having Gabe around on the ice in the locker room. And he's the captain for a reason. He's so outspoken. He knows what to say at the right times. And the thing that I've just noticed the most is how great he is on the ice. But I think what this team needs and what's been great is like off the ice stuff. He kind of does an amazing job of bringing us together.
And I know the conversation to start here has been your role coming into this season. Jared Bednar said he'll try you on the wall and down the middle. You've obviously played both here, found success. Do you have maybe a pros and cons list, or just focusing on the pros of each for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to look too much into where I'm playing. I kind of like to look at myself, as like I can kind of fit anywhere in the lineup. I think that's a trait of mine, and I saw it last year. I played up on the wing, and I kind of got hot playing with Nate and Mikko at the time, and I feel like you could probably get out there and get thrown on the wing, and you probably put some on the back of the net too. So I don't think it's really reinventing the wheel playing with those two, but no. So that was a lot of fun, and then unfortunately I got hurt, and I came back, and when you're not playing with those guys, your minutes go down. It's harder to score. You're not on the first power play. Like that's just it is what it is. And so for me, I don't like to really look too much into that kind of stuff. I just come to the rink every day, smile on my face, try and get better, feed off those guys. And I feel like with center, I feel like I create a little bit more. That first year I played center here, I think all three of us, me, Miles, and OC, had career years. So It's not like we can't do it. I think we definitely can. I think we might give up a little bit more on the defensive side, but we definitely create a little bit more. And then on the wing, I think there's a little bit less responsibility in the D zone. So I don't really have a preference. Just for me, I think I mentioned this yesterday when Megan asked, just kind of want to get two line mates that I gel with all year and can kind of get a lot of chemistry going.
So that was something that we've talked a lot about this summer, was you had just crazy rotating cast of line mates last year, different positions. You start off hot, get the injury. Just for you, coming into this year, what is your focus, given that even for yourself personally, it was just kind of a roller coaster of circumstances and all that last year?
Yeah, same as usual, just business. Like I just want to come, I want to get better every day, and like I feel like every guy might say this, but like our goal is to win. Like we're in this window of we have the guys, we have the horses. Like, that should be our expectation from day one. I think we saw that in camp, yesterday. Like that practice was like, we're gearing up for something special, and you kind of felt it. I said it feels different in the room. You just have that sense of like belief and urgency. And I think I saw someone quote, I don't know if it was Gabe or Bedsy, or saying like this is the deepest team they've had since since the Cup. So I mean that's special to be a part of. So you got to take advantage of these windows when you have guys like Kale and Nate, Taser, guys in their prime. You bring back Brock, stuff like that. So. Again, just for me, I want to build off that. I want to get better every day. I want to, have a role, and I love being here. I love being a part of this organization.
I know that consistency is the ultimate goal, but until then, it's about finding the right talent around you. And so, without focusing on who, tell me a little bit about what it is that you're looking to be represented on your line.
I mean, I think for us, again, like we have, you talk about it, we have such a good top six. So again, I know, like you could say top six, bottom six. I think we want to have 4 lines that can go. You want to have 4 lines that you can trust and get thrown out there in any situation. So I think for us, it's a matter of like being trusted and being able to get thrown out in any situation. For me, like I think we can contribute. Like I don't want to just be looked at as a line that's like, oh, we'll throw them out there, they'll kill some time for the like we can score. We saw that the last 2 years. Like we can put pucks in the net, we can create offense, but at the same time be reliable. And then I think I said this yesterday. I think we just need a little bit more grit. So I think we got to play with a little bit more toughness. We got to, be physical. We can't get pushed around. And if guys are touching Kale and Nate, like we got to have guys that are going to step up and defend them.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was what I was going to ask you next. It stuck out to both of us as we were leaving the room that you called out. Like we need a little bit more physicality. We need a little bit more grit. Is that something that you guys are talking about? And B, you played on a Tampa team that I thought represented a lot of that when you were there.
Yeah.
What can that do? Because I think maybe sometimes we can overrate that, as media. They need to be mean and physical. What can that do when your team has that kind of grit?
Yeah, I don't know. It just instills a little bit of fear in the opponent, and it has nothing to do with fighting or anything like that. I think that's kind of getting out of the game, and it has you don't want to take stupid penalties and stuff like that. But like I think part of that's just being a team, and like I think we have that. Like the guys in the room, like we all love each other, we care about each other, and if someone's getting roughed around, especially like you want to say the top guys, like you just can't let that happen. And I don't know, like it's different when you're on the ice, and I think for me, which is making me even hungrier, was like when I wasn't in that playoff series, I was watching it go down, and you're watching it from afar, and it was bothering me so much not being able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that, like I don't want to say I'm like a tough guy or anything, but like I like to play with an edge. I like to be physical, and especially I like to think that I elevate my game in the playoffs. So like around that time of year. So watching that was just tough for me. So I feel like just that entire summer I came back and I worked my butt off, and I don't know, I'm just really hungry for the season.
Well, so Jen, just real quick, because a minute ago you said like, oh, I always try to show up to the rink with a smile, and that was the thought that was going through my head. I was like, yeah, but I would hate to play against you because you can play with that edge.
Yeah. No, again, exactly. Like it's all fun, and again, when your teammates have your back, it shows that they care. So, like, I'd like to think that if I got hit in the wrong way, someone's going to go after somebody and kind of, get a little payback. So, again, it has nothing to do with stupid or being a tough guy or fighting. It's just a matter of playing hard, playing the right way, and playing smart.
You've talked a little bit about what Jared Bednar has pinpointed as what will bring you success this season, and I've been curious from your side if you felt comfortable advocating for yourself too in terms of what you need.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's tough. I don't like to look too much into that stuff. I come to the rink every day. I work hard. I kind of know what I need to do. I mean, I've had success here. I've had success in the past. I don't really think I need to reinvent the wheel or anything. Again, part of it's, who you're playing with, the situation you're thrusted into, and, opportunity. Like last year we had some guys that were injured. I kind of stepped up. I took advantage of that opportunity, and then unfortunately I got hurt, and then it kind of, it wasn't like I was terrible after that. It was just, you're not playing 25 minutes a night with Nate. So it's like that's just you're not going to be scoring on that kind of click. So, don't like to look too much into it. I'm super excited. I don't know who I'm going to play with come day one. I think, I feel awesome playing with Jers and Ole out there in these first couple, sessions. I think we've been snapping it around, having some fun. And so again, I'm super excited. I think that's all I really have to say about that.
You had a fun one there, picked that one out of the air and set Jack up in the slot. That was a good one, too.
Yeah, that was a nice pass by Ole, knocked it out of the air, and then Jacko calling for it in the slot, banging in the rebound. I think if we do play it together, that might have to be our bread and butter, is just driving the net.
You mentioned, playing with Nate. What's it like playing with a guy like that?
Yeah, it's hard, and it's a blessing at the same time. I think, he demands so much out of his line mates, so You got to play fast. You got to, almost anticipate plays because he plays with such speed and such, drive. So I don't want to say you're staying out of his way because that's not remotely what it is. But, when you're getting the puck on the wall, you got to be thinking one play ahead because you kind of know that he's going to be buzzing through the ice with speed. But he also does such an amazing job of he draws so much attention to himself that it kind of opens up space for the other guys around him. So that was the one thing that I noticed playing with him was, I was able to play my game because he was kind of opening up a little bit of space for me to kind of make plays and kind of get to those soft areas and then kind of just bang in some goals.
Another potential teammate you might play with this year is Joel Kiviranta. He signs an extension this summer, and I feel like you guys had success going back to that Winnipeg series 2 seasons back. What does he bring as a teammate?
Yeah, Joel's awesome. I think he's just one of those, again, he's like a glue guy. He comes to the rink, he's got a smile on his face, he plays hard, I think he had a sneaky 16, 17 goals last year. Kind of flies under the radar that he had a really amazing season. So, he's awesome. He brings he brings speed, he can kill penalties. I think if he needed to, he'd probably be a great power play guy. And again, he could score goals. I look back, didn't he have a hat trick against the Avs in that playoff series?
He sure did. Game 7, yeah. So first game of that series, he draws in.
Exactly. So that's the kind of guy he is. He can kind of be that Swiss Army knife playing any spot, and he could score goals. So he's awesome in the room too. He's a funny guy.
Ross, we really appreciate you taking the time here, man. We'll wind it down so you can get out of here. What are you looking the most forward to this season? Just, whether it be you personally, this group you guys got, just what are you looking forward to as you guys are getting going here? I think just that's tough. I mean, a lot of things. Just playing in front of the fans of ball. I think, we feed off that. We do an amazing job of, coming to the rink trying to pounce on teams because, we feed off the fans. And then, again, just playing with this group of guys. I think playing with Landy, I think, is an obvious answer. I haven't played with him yet. So just seeing his presence on and off the ice, I think that's going to be fun. And then just, again, being out here in Colorado, it's nice to go home in Jersey, spend some time in the sun. But then you come back here, you're in the mountains, get a different change of scenery. And, the season's the best time of year when we're playing games. Yeah.
This will be my last one. A new voice on the power play, and Jared Bednar talked about how there's so much talent between both units that he might consider giving more opportunity to that second unit, and that seems to create an exciting lane for you to get power play reps and just more opportunity there. What excites you about that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're on the power play, it's fun. I mean, you get a better opportunity to score some goals. So, I hope that's the case. I mean, again, when you got superstar talent, it is what it is. You want Nate, you want Kale, you want those guys on the ice. And, if they're going to stay, their minute 45 seconds, it is what it is. You kind of got to get out there. But maybe that's more up to us to kind of maybe get out there, draw the penalties, so we're setting them up for success. So, again, that's not my call. That has nothing to do with us. I mean, if we're put out there to start the power play or kind of end it, we're going to kind of do the best that we can to get pucks on net, get some momentum, and kind of, if we don't score, set us up for the next shift to have a little bit more success.
And last one for me, did you already circle the Columbus game on your calendar, take a run at Woody?
I might have to. I mean, I definitely miss him. I would be lying if I said I didn't. He was my best friend on the team. We weren't really together long, but him and I kind of formed a special bond. He's one of those guys, and I feel like you can't say that with everybody, that you come across guys throughout hockey where they're your friend, but maybe they won't be your friend for life, and I think he definitely will be my friend forever. So we stay in touch all the time. I miss him, and I wish him nothing but the best. He was a great teammate, and I think he's going to have some success there.
Awesome. Ross, we really appreciate it, man. We wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
appreciate
you so
it.
much.
First of all, I want to big shout out to Ross Colton. Always great with us in the room, and Megan just super generous with his time and just great to talk to. Some really interesting stuff there from Ross. Just great insight into, kind of where his head is at. And I thought he was really honest about, last year. And, hey, I was playing big minutes with big-time players. And when I came back, wasn't quite doing that. So, I'm not beating myself up too much about the goals.
Right.
But it was a roller coaster for him. And Megan, to me, he's as dialed in as this group feels right now in general. He's one of the players to me that just being in the locker room, even yesterday alone, just seemed like he had a different intensity about it.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I think he was very playful and humble in how he talked about capitalizing on the opportunity in the top six, playing on a top power play with Nathan McKinnon. But also the year before that with Colton and, Colton, Olofsson, and Wood.
Yeah.
the career years he's talking about for each of these players, I think that there's still a lot of give, just even looking at that year one track record in Colorado, and that was playing down the middle. So I think the expectation is still high for himself that, yeah, maybe you're not putting in at 8 goals in 9 games, maybe not at that clip, but I think there's a huge offensive impact that he can still have in the role that is available to him right now.
You and I walked out of the room yesterday, Megan, and immediately before we even got up to the press room, started just chattering amongst ourselves about him specifically calling out the need for more physicality, more grit. And like you said, it's something that he wanted to lean into. And I loved what he talked about there of like, it's not like the end all be all, but if you can put another team just like a little bit on notice, just make them, play 1% a little bit more afraid that it can make a difference. And especially for him, a guy who plays with that edge, like I loved what he was saying of like, I'm sitting there in the press box in the playoffs and it's just killing me that I can't be out there.
I keep drawing parallels to Florida and what brought them success. Like, I'm thinking of how they utilized both their power play units and they had success off both, and how that could be something the Avs consider going into this year. I'll add an asterisk by that. I don't mean they don't put Nathan MacKinnon on a top power play. Imagine it's just a rotating cast around players like MacKinnon and McCarr. But that being said, I also key in on Florida's third line, and we describe them as velociraptors, right? I think that this third line, whatever it ends up looking like, could pose a similar type of threat if there is that physical edge. But there's obviously still the scoring impact, and that's still represented on Florida's line too, especially with Brad Marchand. So I think in looking at how that brought them success, there's a similar model that can be recreated here, and it starts with that physical edge, because you remember late in that Winnipeg series, this was scary and dangerous, so I'm not like hyping this up, but guys were getting stepped on, hands were getting stepped on. It was intense. Guys were tumbling all over the ice on top of each other.
Kneeing each other in the head,
And he was right in the mix in all of it. And so I think he can walk the walk, talk the talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, I get it. I think
talk
I was
the
right.
talk, walk the walk.
Oh, okay, yeah, you had it
Wrong
backwards.
order.
Yeah. So I was like, see, had you not
He
noticed,
hits the ice walking.
He hits the ice walking. I also love, for me, Megan, the shout out from him on, I can see a difference immediately with having Gabe Landeskog around.
Yes,
a guy that,
volunteering it.
Right, volunteering the information and saying, like, I didn't get to play, I haven't ever played with him because he got hurt right when Gabe came back, and him just kind of calling that out right off the top of, not only is he going to make a difference for us on the ice, but I'm already seeing it off the ice around the rink. I'm sure people are a little sick of hearing us talk about Gabe Landeskog now, 3 years, but that to me was significant and kind of an underscore of why we have spent so much time talking about Gabe Landeskog.
Oh my gosh, yes. And the way he plays too, like, it just feels very Ross Colton coded.
Yes.
And so there's a lot that he could gain from a player like that. And see too, like, this brings Gabe success, and a lot of his game can follow similarly, especially from the wall. So I'm excited to see how that impacts the rest of the team on the whole. Honestly, like, just seeing how much the young players have leaned on Gabe through this camp. And the positive attitude that he brings, there are a lot of smiles on the ice too, Ross Colton being one of them. So I think there's excitement around the fun that they can have, but there's also a very serious attitude around the business that needs to be taken care of this year.
Absolutely. Megan, let's wind today's show down by, I wanted to make sure we hit on everything that we wanted to forward-wise.
Defenseman.
Yes, yeah. We wanted to make sure we hit on everything that we wanted to forward-wise before we heard from Ross. But let's just kind of briefly talk about what's going on the back end here so far through camp. Sam Malinsky today and yesterday playing on his offside. He got moved groups. One of the few players that did get kind of flip-flopped. So he was skating today not with Cale Makar. Was it with Ashan?
So, it was mixed up. So they actually gave him some looks with Brent Burns, and I find that more interesting. I don't think they're seriously running with this Jack Ashan Malinsky, because that's two players both playing on their offhand. So it was a Bednar blender, as usual. But Brent Burns and Malinsky getting some looks.
So I was going to say, because when you and I were talking, you said like they've got him with Ashan, but as you were saying that, we were watching him run through some reps with Burns. But you and I were talking, saying, okay, is that like, should we look into that at all, that he's not skating with Cale today? And I kind of, made the argument of like, okay, well, maybe you can look at it as hey, well, you're not going to have Cale Makar there to bail you out. So let's get into some reps with some different guys. your thoughts on not just Sam Olinsky, and again, it's really hard, especially these first couple days when there are still a lot of guys here, but just what we're seeing from that back end. I know it's hard to glean a lot. Should be pretty much business as usual, but you've got the Sam Girard thing, which I have thoughts on Sean Behrens that we can talk about there. But then Sam Olinsky. Let's start with Sam. What have you thought of his play? It's been a lot of drills, but what have you thought of him through 2 days?
I'll take the Bednar approach of needing to see it in game action because I have been encouraged by what I've seen through 2 days. Today, I think he just kind of took a beating, honestly, went into the wall like really hard, and then they had that hard skate at the end, so didn't get as much today from this glimpse, but yesterday I thought I took away a lot more. He looked comfortable, confident, making the right reads, and you even said it today, like maybe this will open up his offensive game in terms of shooting, and he did catch a puck on his forehand and sent it to the net, and he whiffled it a little bit, but it's like if that's the instinct though to just shoot when you catch that puck on your stick, that could serve him really well on the offensive side of the puck. Obviously the bigger concern will be reads in his own end and how that translates.
Taking pucks off the wall.
I still see that smart player that I've talked about, since he came over from college. So I think he's often making a lot of the right reads. And actually, I'll go back earlier today, earlier into the skate, I should say. I think that he was giving guys some trouble. A really aggressive gap and just getting his stick on pucks. And so, being more of an undersized player, I think you could sometimes assume that he'll just be walked through, and he was making it difficult for guys in these drills.
I mentioned to you, Megan, that I've played defense my whole life, and I mentioned to you, I like being on my offhand sometimes in the offensive zone because you can, a little bit easier for you to load up. You're kind of positioned for a one-timer when you're just kind of, in position out on the blue line. So, like you said, noticed it happened out there, and if that's a positive he can pull out of it, then good for Sam Olinsky. Megan, at one point yesterday, we were standing in the press room, and I just kind of said aloud, and Evan looks at me and goes, is Megan paying you to say that? I said, Sean Behrens can't stop making good plays. I wasn't able to key in on him as much today, but coming out of day one, heading into today, Megan, for me, if Sam Girard isn't ready for game one, which Jared Bednar reiterated yesterday, he might be.
Yeah.
They're still hoping he will be, but for my money, Megan, if he's not, Sean Behrens
is right there.
Might be in the pole position here, kind of front runner for that spot.
Yeah, I've liked his camp 2 days in a row now. I think his skating, I called it out from the rookie tournament. It's still really dynamic. Like, it's not quite Tornado skating, but it's fast and it's agile, and it gets him in and out of trouble more easily. But it's the high IQ, really, that I come back to, and then the battle that maybe people don't realize about Sean Behrens. Like, yes, undersized player, has never shied away from absorbing contact, initiating contact, though he makes the play ahead of the contact. That might be the smarter play. And so, again, another aggressive gap like Malinsky. And the reads have been great. He's been getting in lanes, taking away passes, and I think he's been harder to play against than maybe guys realize. And what I've liked, too, through 2 days is, the groups are pretty split, but a lot of these plays, I don't have my notebook to shout out specific ones, but if you'd like, DM me. But he's been going up against some of the top players, like like the Nichushkins, Makars, McKinnons, and he's been making great plays against these players. So it's not just the AHL guys that he's able to defend. I think he's holding his own against the NHL players as well.
And like you said, to me, it's the skating. There were 2 plays in particular yesterday where he made pinches. Jared Bednar split these groups up, pretty evenly split AHL versus NHL guys, at least on the forward side. 2 straight reps where Sean Behrens made really great pinches against an NHL line, and one of the time he fully broke the play up, and it kind of turned into an offensive chance for his group of whatever it was, 3 or 4 yesterday. But then on the other one, it disrupted the rush enough that the group had to circle back, regroup, hit their breakout again, and again, I just love the aggressiveness, and it comes from a confidence in his skating ability, I would think. Because we see Cale Makar do that stuff. He'll make pinches that it's like, yeah, other defensemen can't make a pinch like that because they can't get back into play. And that was what I saw a couple times out of Sean Behrens in particular yesterday, was making plays because he trusted his feet, trusted his ability to get back in, and made the right smart play before getting back into position and continuing to be effective. So I really liked what I've seen out of Sean Behrens, and I hope people don't forget he had a really good camp last year. Like, you and I were having legitimate conversation at a certain point last year of, no way this guy makes the team, right? Like, no way he makes it out of camp. And he ends up being one of the last cuts, but had a very good camp last year, and I felt like he's kind of picked up where he left off despite the season-ending injury that he suffered like a week after we were saying how good he was in camp.
Yeah, he was due for a big year, especially building off of such a good camp last year. And I think this has been the best case scenario in terms of building off of it going into this camp now. I think it appears as if he hasn't missed time, and he also looks at 100%. And so for a skater who relies on his skating ability so much, it's really important then that he doesn't look to be withholding. He doesn't look to be hampered by it at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Megan, any final thoughts for today? You and I will be right back here tomorrow morning.
Brent Burns is good.
Yeah, yes. Brent Burns is his reach and his length. Yes, Josh Manson's a big guy. Yes, Keaton Middleton are big guys. I think Brent Burns' skating combined with, like I said, the length that he's got, the way he gets in lanes, his positioning, and God, he keeps things light.
Yeah, yes, he's great, in great shape. Not that I doubted that would be the case, but he can skate up and down the ice with all of these guys just fine. It's the reads that have impressed me more than anything, and his lane coverage too. Like, you heard mixed reviews on Brent Burns, and I think he came off kind of a high and low season with Carolina, and so maybe that's where some of this was recency bias and people being critical of his defensive game, but I have found it to be up to par. Like, he's getting in lanes, and so it's not like he's throwing guys into the boards, but he's just physically there, and it's effective. So
takes up a lot of space.
No, he takes up a lot of space, and that long reach also helps him to get pucks back and keep pucks away and protect the puck. So Keaton Middleton was another one that I actually think has had 2 good days.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I know, guys, don't be rude. But if we are looking at left-handed defensemen, that's still an internal option that, maybe they're looking at the waiver wire at the start of, the year, or maybe they feel they actually just can lean on Keaton Middleton to start.
Honestly, and again, like Sean Barons, I think, is destined for the Eagles, for
get
the
a full season under his belt.
Right. But to that end of maybe they're looking at the waiver wire, like, I think you've got to be pretty happy with what you've seen out of the 2 lefty options that you have as kind of extras in Sean Barons and Keaton Middleton. Of that for an extra, that's good enough.
It's fine.
But yeah, no. So a couple good days, and man, I think Brent Burns, he can't play. What is it? More than 23 minutes, more than 70 times this season. But with what we've seen, 2 days of camp. Want to keep re-underscoring 2 days of camp. But from what I've seen out of that, it's like, man, Jared Bednar is going to have to. Chris McFarland's probably going to have to pull him aside at one point and be like, 13 times I need you to keep him under this limit, because I think Brent Burns is definitely going to tempt him to roll him over the boards a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're going to love him as an option. So, in a way, I think there's a world where if they didn't have so many options on the right side, this would be a problem that they address at the deadline anyways. So I think in the future, we will be very appreciative for all of the options they have on the right side.
I'm with you. That's going to do it for today, guys. We'll be back here tomorrow, and then we will have you covered for both games on Sunday. Great first week of camp, ready to hit the weekend, and then, geez, Megan, after Monday, it's just kind of like business as usual. We're just into like the practice schedule of the season. It goes quick, folks. She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We got Mark making all this happen. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great weekend. If you're coming by the rink this weekend, stop and say what's up.
I've met some really lovely people this weekend. So if you've come and said hi to me in person, it's meant a lot to me.
It's been a lot. And shout out to our guy, Ethan. We didn't get a chance to do his super chat about a week ago. We haven't been live in the studio since. But big shout out to Ethan. He came up and chatted with both of us yesterday. And he needs jersey recommendations. He's getting a new jersey at the start of this season. He needs your recommendations on what he should get. So we'll revisit this the next time we're live in the studio so we can get the chat involved as well in real time. But that's going to do it. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. Got Mark here with us as well. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.